The American program Top Chef has served up a winner for audiences across North America. But Canada has its own panache when it comes to cuisine, not to mention personality. This Monday is the premiere of Top Chef Canada on Food Network Canada. Now, the show could have been quite the unbalanced spread of the country's top culinary creators, with the East Coast missing from the table altogether. But Newfoundlander Todd Perrin managed to become the only chef on the program east of Montreal. He joins me now in the studio. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I guess to start off, you can just tell us, how did you manage to get on Top Chef Canada?
Well, last spring, early summer, a friend of mine sent me an email with the information for the audition call, and I'd never really considered doing anything like that before, but I said, what the heck, so I sent in a long application form, and they phoned me up and did a long interview process, and then they asked me to go do an audition in Halifax, which I went and did, and a little while after that I got a call telling me I was on the show.
All right, good news.
Yeah, it was pretty good news, yeah.
You know, it's interesting that cooking shows, to me, they're kind of the first reality shows anyway. People used to have these cooking shows before we had reality TV, though they weren't quite as intense as the new cooking shows we have now. What do you think that they've become so popular now, like cooking shows in particular?
Well, I mean, I think cooking shows are popular. Well, everybody cooks, right? I mean, pretty much at some point, everybody cooks something. Even if you're not you consider yourself a gourmet, but I mean, everyone at some point fries himself an egg or boils a can of beans. So it's something that's in everybody's home. Everybody is connected to it. So, I mean, the idea of seeing people, kind of doing that where you can pick up some new ideas, maybe if you're interested in it, or just watching some people do things that you probably have done or seen other people that do. On top of that, with the new reality cooking shows, you have the soap opera kind of element and the personalities and all that stuff. So it's kind of bringing a bunch of television genres together. You get your soap opera, you got your cooking show, your drama, some comedy, all wrapped in one.
Well, we're going to have a look here now. Here's a brief clip of Top Chef Canada.
You'll have 30 minutes to shop at Loblaws for your ingredients. Then you'll have 90 minutes back here to prep your dish and serve it in the Top Chef dining room.
3067, supposed to be a dish that represents your personality, just like me, Chief.
All right, well, that looks fairly intense.
I haven't seen that before, actually, so I did it, but I haven't. This is the first time I actually saw it. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
What was it? I mean, what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself? Not only as a chef, perhaps, but I mean, just about yourself from going through this process.
Well, I learned probably I was a little bit more flexible than I thought I was. The thing about the show is, the whole point of it is they try to put you in situations where you're not comfortable, and they see, kind of who rises to the top and who sinks to the bottom. So, the secret to success in that is being able to kind of roll with the punches. I've not always been, known for my ability to do that, but I think, my experience on the show, made me feel like I could do that a little bit better than I thought. And, just from a professional perspective, I spent a lot of my years working in restaurants and kitchens, and for the last number of years, I've kind of been a stay-at-home dad, and I've pulled back from that kind of fast-paced part of the industry a bit. But this kind of let me know that I probably could still do it, or at least I wanted to see if I could still do it. So the proof will be in the watching for people when it starts on Monday.
I'm not sure how much you can actually tell us about the program itself. But what was it like for you? What was it like to be there? Be a part of Top Chef Canada? Well,
I mean, it was a great honor, right? The whole Top Chef franchise is very well respected in terms of, what's on TV now in this genre, for sure. I mean, it's the granddaddy of TV reality / cooking shows. They just won an Emmy in the US for top reality show. So, being part of the first one in Canada, obviously it's an honor, and there was some stiff competition just to get on the show, let alone to be there and competing with those guys. And the level of talent was great on the show, and to be shoulder to shoulder with those guys was a great reaffirmation for me that I still had what it takes to work in a top kitchen somewhere. So it was a great experience overall. Tough as anything. I mean, the hardest thing I've ever done, but yeah, it was definitely it was definitely good for me in the end.
And I actually saw your audition tape, and in it, you say you used to be a bit of an enforcer in the kitchen. It also says you consider yourself to be an entertainer. Two things that could perhaps come in handy, especially when you're talking about a reality cooking show. Can you just talk a bit about those sides of your personality that you brought to the plate, for pardon the pun, to the show?
Well, I mean, back in the day when I was started off working in kitchens and stuff, it was a bit different than it is today. Kitchens were a little bit more gruff around the edges. They weren't known for nice treatment of people and things like that. So I worked under a bunch of guys who had some of those kind of rough around the edges qualities. So I was often, in a lot of my jobs, I was the guy who'd do a lot of stomping around and screaming and banging pots and pans and all that kind of stuff, right? So picture a frustrated golfer, right? It was kind of that scenario. But I kind of moved on from that. But the whole entertainment side, like I was saying to you guys earlier, like what you can't make a television show in Canada now without having a Newfoundlander on it, right? Yeah. So I was hoping that would obviously be a part of getting on the show, because no doubt they cast for culinary talent, but I mean they're looking for somebody who brings a little bit of something to the show, right? So I hope that came through in what we did, and like I said, the proof will be in the watching.
What is it about cooking for you specifically? I mean, why do you want to do it? Why do you choose to do that as your way to make a living?
Well, I mean, firstly, I love to eat, so that was kind of the survival instinct kicks in there. But it's a great, it's a very social thing, right? So I'm a really social person. I come from a social family. We have a great, network of family and friends, and eating is just a big part of what we do. So, at an early age, I decided that, I was going to turn to it for the way to make my living. And, it's one of the most rewarding, careers that you can have in terms of the feedback is immediate, right? It's not like going to work in an office and you sit down all day and you do your paperwork. End of the day, you shut off your computer, you go home. You don't get somebody coming up to you every 10 minutes and saying, that was the best report I've ever seen, So the way it works in our biz is you put yourself out there for criticism, but every plate you make is an opportunity to be criticized or to get a tremendous pat on the back. So, it's great for the ego when things are going well for you, and I mean maybe that's a big part of it too for me. But cooking food, eating nice food, making people happy. When you live in this part of the world, our natural resources in terms of what we can access to create dishes and menus is as good as anywhere North America. So it's a great boon to me to be living here and get to do what I do.
Yeah, lots of fresh food in this part of the world.
Absolutely.
All right, I know you can't. How many secrets can you let go? Well, I'll ask it this way: what can people expect from Todd Perrin on the program?
Well, people can expect that people that know me can expect to see me up on the screen. And people that don't know me, I tried to go and represent Newfoundland well. I'm very aware of where I'm from, and going to a national show like this, I wanted to make sure that no matter how well or poorly I did, that I represented where I'm from in both in the way I acted, the way I treated the other guys, and in the food and the dishes that I made. So I'm a pretty straightforward guy, and that's the way I looked at my whole experience there, in both in the dishes and in my interactions. So that's pretty much all I can say about it. I think people will be entertained. Yeah. I think there's some surprises in there for people, and it should be fun.
All right. Well, you know how it ends. The rest of us don't. So I'm still going to wish you the best of luck, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Top Chef Canada premieres Monday, 10:30 our time on Food Network Canada. We're going to take a short break, but right after this, a song from Amelia Curran.